What is up, everybody? Thanks for joining. It's draft time, and I don't mean mock draft time. I mean for real draft time. That's right. We've been doing this with our community now a couple of years. So this is a way of not only saying thank you, but also draft with us, compete against us for real. We got some OGs in the house, and by that I mean not just some of the subscribers, some of the viewers have been with us way before we got 50,000 subscribers, before we had 5,000. They're probably some of the first, maybe the first five we ever had. So I want to just give a quick shout out, first of all, the guy who's going to be number one on the clock right now, Roberto, for also just being the man and not only joining these leagues, but being very flexible as I completely screw up the way that these draft times worked out. So also shout out to Brian, who I hope is able to draft with us. Might be somewhere out there on a slip and slide at SeaWorld, but he's still dedicated to the game like we are. And of course, there's the beast Keith, who gives as much and just as good advice as we do on the Discord. So thank you to all of those, and of course everybody else here who's on there, and of course our man John, who helps us tremendously with editing the videos that we get out there. A lot of what you see on Endgame is partly his work there. So thanks to him and everybody else, of course. Too many names to give credit to. But let's talk about what's going on today. It's a draft. It is a real live draft for money, but more importantly for pride. You know how it works here. The money is money, whatever. It comes and goes. We want to win, right? That's why we do these leagues. It's fun, and we like to compete. So let's do this. It is a 12-team league. I made this first draft Superflex. So let's keep in mind, and also guys, if you're on here, you already know this, but reminder, I also put a little bit of bonus in here. I really wanted to mix it up instead of just your traditional PPR draft. I originally had this as an IDP draft. Apparently there's not enough IDP fans out there. I had a couple people who wanted IDP, and that was it, not enough. So I mean, come on, that's the real way to play football, right? There's offense and there's defense. Get to know your defensive players, but I get it. We only have so much time. Can't remember the stats for linebackers and safeties and whatever, so that's fine. So I switched it to make it a little different. It's super flex. So this is going to be one QB, two running back, two receiver, a tight end, two flex, and that super flex. All right, so keep that in mind. And the bonuses I talked about, not too many. I don't want to go crazy. I don't want to make it a weird scoring system just for the sake of being weird. Not into that. So 50+ yard touchdown, either passing, rushing, or receiving, gets you a 3-point bonus. It's not going to hit too often. Nothing big, nothing game changing. I don't want one touchdown to totally shift the way that a week plays out, right? I don't think it should have a major impact. So a little extra there, maybe just something to think about. I think this really is going to come into play with the later rounds when you're looking for maybe a little bit more ceiling, maybe a big play threat gets you more on a bye week or as a fill-in than one of those guys who gets you 5 catches and 25 yards. So that's it. And I know that you said this. I'm glad that you noticed this. Someone noticed this. This is how dedicated I am to the craft. I didn't think about this when scheduling time because clearly I did not think a whole lot ahead of time about the draft times in general. It was kind of a mess, but look, I am going to watch the Miami-Florida game for sure, and I'm representing, that usually we got the blue background, but of course representing Canes. Canes playing the Gators. Not going to get into all that right now. Don't want to, get into the college deal, but yes, my Canes. I'm a long-suffering Canes fan. They're playing the Gators. It's a pretty big game. That's why I got the green in the background, not only to honor the Canes, but also so nobody gets confused. There's no Gator love here whatsoever, okay? So now that that's out of the way with, as soon as this is done, I am watching that game where hopefully the Canes show up. All right, guys. So I'm going to try to get to some questions and some comments. I know we got some questions about your teams here, but we got a draft to do. Those of you who are in this draft, I hope you're ready. I see a lot of green on there. Good. There you go. Keith just jumped on. A couple are not green, so I'm hoping they show up soon. Let me give a quick reminder. And look, we're going to roll on regardless. So everyone's just going to have to do their best with whatever happens here, right? So let's just make sure everybody is live here. I'm at the 3. Again, this is a random draft order, totally randomized. Okay, yeah, it looks like we're pretty good here. I think just maybe one person. Just want to make sure. All right, but we're gonna hit it. If you show up, you show up. If you don't, you're gonna have to deal with what is there. So here we go, guys. Roberto. I expect a lot of quarterbacks to go early. But again, just because it's Superflex, those of you maybe you haven't played in a Superflex league before, just not that often, you don't have to draft a quarterback first, although I typically recommend it. I'll just go Mahomes. All right. You're probably going to see a lot, at least maybe 7, 8 quarterbacks taken in the first round. If you don't take a quarterback, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but you just don't want to wait too late. That's what we talk about. And also, this is a good time to mention that also the Draft Lane app, if you're drafting tonight, tomorrow, Monday being a day off, or maybe last minute, you're waiting till Wednesday night, which is not the worst idea. You still have a little less than a week to get those drafts in before the week starts. Check out Draft Lane. That's the app. And I say this because we do have Superflex rankings along with PPR, half PPR, standard. Just updated the rankings right before we got on. Been tweaking them almost every day. There's not a lot that's going to change now, right? Obviously, the preseason's over. Cuts have been made. Really hope to God nobody gets injured somehow between now and next week. But really shouldn't be a lot of major shifts. But it's just those little fine tunes, those tweaks, just making sure everybody's where they should be. Of course, rankings are never going to be perfect. Rankings are just like a base, an idea of what you think you should do when you're on the draft clock, but it really depends on what's been done beforehand. So you shouldn't live and die by rankings. You definitely should not live and die by projections and site rankings like Sleeper or Yahoo or ESPN or wherever you draft. Their rankings are their rankings, right? That doesn't mean anything because they're different for every format. But if you're not sure what to do, you can always use the draft pilot. The draft pilot here is something that basically gives you our rankings, but it gives them to you in terms of where you should take a guy based on who you have already drafted. It guides you as you're drafting, and it knows who you drafted. That's the great thing. All right. Fortunately, we do have an auto. There's one team, I don't know, has not logged on yet. We'll see. Hopefully he shows up. I already DM'd him. Hopefully he shows up. All right. Since I got a while till it's my turn, let's do some questions. Alex B, the membership here. What's up, Alex? 10-team league, wants to rate this team: Allen, Pacheco, Zamir, Lamb, Pittman, Smith, Pickens, Ingram, B-Rob, Corm, Godwin, Jason, Lawrence. You definitely waited on running back. I think that's fine because you have definitely startable running backs. Pacheco was solid there. Zamir, Lamb, Pittman. Yeah, this is a ton of upside in PPR with those 4 receivers. And look, Corum, he's one of my favorite sleepers here. This is a very solid team for going 0 RB, basically. Not even 0, I guess anchor with Pacheco. Yeah, I even in a 10 team, I'd give this like an 8.5. All right, let's take a look here. It's getting to my pick pretty soon, and I'll show more of the draft board in about a round or two. after we get a little farther along. So only 5 quarterbacks taken in the first round. Here's what I'm saying. You don't have to pull the trigger too early. And look, this means that these teams up here who are getting like the CeeDee Lambs, like DC right there, Team 7, CeeDee Lamb, he's still waiting, got Kyler Murray as his top quarterback. That's a great start, honestly. The Chase Burrow stack, obviously, assuming Chase is good to when week 1 starts, which sounds like it will be. That could be huge. Tyreek Hill, Anthony Richardson, I would love that start. So this is interesting how this is playing out. Looks like people are trying to kind of stagger. Nobody's going QB just yet, but let's see these 4 teams. Miguel's on the clock. So now I got to decide, do I want one of these quarterbacks? Still some stud receivers left. Don't feel compelled to go running back. I know JT might be on the clock for me. In this format, not only do you, of course, want to try to prioritize quarterback much earlier, but also I tend to either wait on running back or just go anchor. I might go 1 running back. So I'm going to have a decision here. Do I take the top receiver? Do I take... Okay, I don't take a running back because here goes JT. So the top quarterbacks, you got Love, Purdy, Herbert, Tua, Caleb Williams. If I felt like one of those guys was head and shoulders above the rest, or if I couldn't get a really good one on the way back, I might pull the trigger here, but I only have 2 teams ahead of me. I know at most they're taking 2 of those quarterbacks. I'm going to wait. Not a running back I love that's left. I'm going to take the top receiver, who's the top receiver? Is it Puka or is it Garrett Wilson? It's a close call. Puka, Garrett, Puka. I'll go Puka. Got him ranked higher. I stick to my rankings. I do like Garrett Wilson, but I'll go Puka. And sorry, Michael Cazares to put up the super chat. Let me get to yours and not waste too much time. And then I'll do my pick here. So 10-man also got Kyler, CMC, Pacheco, Nico, Waddle, Kincaid, Smith, Ridley, Zamir, and Ladd. Yeah, very similar team here. You got Pacheco as your second running back, though, and CMC. Oh, man. Nico, Waddle. Okay, so you waited a little longer receiver, but you got Devontae Smith and Waddle and Nico. Yeah, I think I like this team even better. A little riskier on the bench with the rookies, but honestly, that starting lineup, I know it's a 10 team, but I love that team. This is like a 9, and not just being nice here. This is a dominant team. Okay, Roberto. Ooh, going JD. How could I expect anything less than the spicy pick from Roberto? Now, not a bad pick at all. If you look at the rankings, this is what I'm talking about in the sleeper rankings, he was below all those quarterbacks I just listed. But so what? Now, on our rankings, which you can get on Draft Lane, he is higher, of course, than Herbert. I think I got him higher than Caleb, just barely higher than Tua. But there you go. All right, so now let's see. He's got 2 quarterbacks. Let's see where he goes now. Guessing a stud receiver. Got some good left. Here you go, Kyron. Goes with Harrison. Okay, so now for me, again, if one running back really jumped up, I know I could take a shot on HN. I love Derrick Henry, but I want either a second quarterback or a stud receiver in this format. So my decision is going to be the top QB left. And if I don't take a QB here, this is the thing with Superflex. I got a long way to wait, and I got 9 teams after me that are still looking for a second. In fact, John's still looking for a first quarterback. Okay, HN off the board. So do I go London, Olave, one of those receivers, or do I go QB? I still think I have pretty comparable good receivers that will be left when it comes back to me. You got Nico, Debo, DJ Moore. This is toward the bottom. That's assuming these guys are all taken. I'm going to take the quarterback. I'm going to go with the very solid pick of Jordan Love. So now I'm good. I got my quarterback, my super flex. I got one receiver who I feel is going to be a top 10 receiver. I can breathe a little easier the rest of the way. I can start to think about running back, maybe tight end. I'm fine waiting on tight end. And then just start racking up receivers. So this is generally my strategy for a Superflex league. And if you don't play Superflex, it's not the only way to go. I'm not telling you I always get it right, but this is the way from what I've seen in terms of Superflex drafts. It's just the way to do it. Now, again, we have some teams here, a couple who don't have a quarterback, and that's okay. You could also start out with either 2 stud receivers, a stud running back and receiver, and then you get some value at quarterback and you take 2 kind of mid-range QBs. So like, for example, I'm not saying John has to do this, but like when you get to team 12, he's going to take whoever he wants. He knows what he's doing. He's got his own fantasy channel, his own stuff. He knows what he's doing. But you could get like a Kirk Cousins and a Trevor Lawrence combo, or Goff, maybe 2 if he falls. That's totally solid to get 2 quarterbacks like that. As long as you're not relying on a quarterback, for example, like Deshaun Watson, Geno Smith. Look, Geno might have a good year. There's no guarantee. You know, the Levises, those guys. I don't want to rely on those guys as an every week starter, even in a super flex. So, and again, you don't have to flex a quarterback, but you should. I mean, you probably want to, because quarterbacks are going to score more points more often than not than a receiver, running back, tight end, unless you just get an absolute stud at receiver. If there was a clear stud receiver who fell here, then maybe I would go, you know, receiver, but let's see what he does. Okay, so we got Brock, we got Tua, we got Herbert off the board, and then it'll be interesting to see what happens here at the turn. And then we'll shake things up here and let you see more of the draft board and also see less of me. All right. So went 1 quarterback and 1 running back there. You got Goff, solid starting quarterback. You got Derrick Henry. So now he's got Bijan and Henry. I mean, I don't think he has to worry about running back for a while. And then Mac in there at 11 got Kyron and Etienne. All right. Don't have to worry about running back for a while there. Got the Chase Burrow stack. So going to kind of sit back and wait on those second quarterbacks. So it'll be interesting to see. Now, the other thing is who already has 2 quarterbacks. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams that have 2 quarterbacks. That means the other teams, the other 5, are still looking for a second quarterback. If you're happy with who's left, and again, let's count down these 5, and let's say you're okay with a second quarterback like Deshaun Watson, a Bryce Young, one of those guys. I mean, that's what you're going to be staring at most likely when it get back to you. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. You know, there's always quarterbacks that climb from the bottom of the ranks to be valuable. We'll see. I would much rather play the waiver wire and take my chances at running back, receiver, as opposed to quarterback. So there's only so many quarterbacks that start. That's just me. JSC, this is a good question. Any quarterbacks going too high? He's thinking Anthony Richardson. I go back and forth on Anthony Richardson because he is definitely risky. I mean, the help, because it's not just last year's injury, but he was banged up back in college. I mean, just clearly injury risk here, but the upside is so high. It really is. My debate really is not whether he should be one of the top quarterbacks taken, because I do think he should, is do I have him higher than Kyler Murray? And I might be going Kyler over AR. That's my dilemma. But I don't think he's going too high in general. I would still take him over, you know, guys like Burrow and Stroud who are just pocket passers, because the ceiling, going for the ceiling. All right, Cerulean Dog, I see you. I'll get to your comment in a second. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do my pick and then my next pick, and then we'll shake up the way the board looks. McLaren, just FYI, by the way, shout out to you, Dolphins fan. This is a super flex league, so we're basically starting 2 quarterbacks. That's why people are taking 2 quarterbacks early. And I would much rather have my second quarterback now, and then I can focus on the other positions. Okay, so now that I'm not looking QB, best running backs are Rachaad White, James Cook, Kenneth Walker. Do you have 2 tight ends off the board in Laporta and Kelsey? Could go McBride or Kincaid. I don't know. All right, let's look at receiver here. Adams, Evans, Waddle, Debo. I don't have, like, this is not best ball. I don't feel compelled to stack. I'm not worried too much about that. I think I can wait on running back here. There's not one receiver really jumps out at me. I like Waddle, of course. I don't know if I should be worried about this being banged up. So I'm between McBride or Waddle, honestly. I might just take McBride. I'm just so high on him this year. So now my question is, depending on how things shake out, do I go my first running back or my second receiver? And I'm okay playing the 0 RB game. It's a Superflex league. Honestly, receivers have been drafted a little bit more than I expected here. Okay, well, there goes Waddle. There's my chance to get him. Let's see. Basically, what Roberto does is going to determine what I do. If he goes receiver heavy, he takes one of the running backs I would want. Got another, apparently Chris might go, also a Dolph fan, or at least he's a fan of that offense. Got HN and Waddle. It's pretty nice. Yeah, and I know which 2 players I have in mind here. So let's see. Let's see who's available. Killing me, Roberto. That was one of them. There's still definitely some quality at receiver, so I'm not too worried. And I already have a receiver. Okay, there goes Rachaad White. Okay, so I could go Evans, Debo, one of those. I would have gone Devontae Smith if he was there. I'm going to secure my running back here. A guy I'm big on more than ever. And let's go Kenneth Walker, because I feel like I can still get pretty good receivers on the way back. All right, so now what I'm going to do is let's shift and move here. Cerulean Dog, I'm going to get to your question. 8-team home league. All right, I'm going to put this up and I'm going to move myself. Nope. 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 Okay. All right, so Cerulean Dog wants to know how he did in this 8-team league. Love, HN, Kamara, Sun God, Jettis, Devontae Smith, Laporta, Rice, Mostert, Swift, McLaurin, Godwin, Hollywood, Jerome, Ford, Addison. All right, 8-team league, you should be stacked. Are you stacked? Indeed. Okay, Love. I mean, for an 8-team league, obviously you waited on the quarterback. He's still fine. I just took Jordan Love. Can't say anything about it. I mean, you're obviously crazy deep at receiver, almost too deep because you can't start all these guys. I would like a better second running back than Kamara for an 8-team league. I mean, Mostert, Swift, Ford are all startable. That's my only thing. I mean, really, for an 8-teamer, you didn't have to go as deep at that position. You could have taken another running back a little earlier, and that's just me particularly not being crazy high on Kamara. So if Kamara is still, still a volume monster, which he could be. Yeah, that could be fine. So that's my only beef with this team. Obviously, receiver, you're beyond stacked. You got Laporta at tight end. Your bench is crazy. So yeah, that's my only thing. We'll see if those running backs are good enough to carry you. I mean, HN definitely could be. Kamara, we'll see. We'll see. All right, what is up? Alexander's channel. Welcome back. First round, Superflex. Stroud or Lamar? That's a good question. All right, so in this one, we did see that Stroud got taken first. No, I'm sorry. Lamar got taken first. I don't think that I would change that. I got to go Lamar. I got to go with a guy the more rushing upside. I know everyone's big on Stroud, and look, I'm a fan. I was a fan. I even said this before last year's season started. I liked Stroud better than Bryce Young as a prospect. I liked him better as an NFL player. Did not think Stroud, would be as good as he was as a rookie, and of course that Bryce Young would be nearly as bad as he was. I didn't think it was a big difference, but I did like Stroud more, his ability to read the field. And so while I'm not down on Stroud, I got to go Lamar, the rushing upside. Stroud did have some big games, but I think we're remembering his season is a little bit better than it really was for fantasy. And yeah, it could have been better if Tank had not gotten hurt, but I think he is solid, but I'm not going to put him up there with those first four quarterbacks, not just yet. And that's another reason. Talk about Anthony Richardson. Why I got Anthony Richardson still ahead of Stroud? It's that rushing upside. Guys, not just running for yards, but a goal line threat and running in touchdowns. That's a huge difference. That's like 2 passing touchdowns if you're in a 3 point league, or at the very least, it's an advantage. So yeah, I got to go with the rushing upside. It just does make a huge difference. And then G6, thank you. Auction Keeper. Man, auction leagues, that's where the action is. Okay. I mean, IDP, that's a real league. You got to be up on everything. Auction is the real draft format. I'll just tell you that. But $200, where do you go on Marv? It's hard to just say without knowing what your league is like, what the values are. In some leagues, I'm telling you, the drafts can go totally different. People spend up way too much on those studs, and sometimes people are afraid to overbid. I mean, I don't know the rest of your format. Also, I'm assuming 12 team. I'm assuming it's not Superflex. So if it's just a traditional 12 team PPR league, Harrison could be. He shouldn't go for as much, I would say, as the top 10 receivers. I don't think you want to overpay for him. So I'm thinking something in the 50s would probably be maybe even too much. So I think I would say before you bid on Harrison, honestly, my strategy is I'm going to look to see how much are the not Lamb Jefferson Hill, but how much is AJ Brown, Puka Nacua, Garrett Wilson going for? Whatever those guys go for, it should be slightly under. You shouldn't be spending up more. Yeah, 50s at most. Exactly. I think at most. All right. Back to me. Let's see if I can figure out what is here. I got one of every position. Running back, nothing thrills me. I don't need a tight end, don't need a quarterback. So best receiver here. See, I like all this here in terms of value. Amari, Pickens, Higgins. I'm fine with any of those guys. So let's go. Just get more Pickens. Why not? Yeah, still plenty of good receivers left here. Now, this didn't play a huge factor, but remember those bonuses for the long touchdowns, right? When you're talking about a guy, like a Cooper too, like a Pickens, versus, somebody else here, like a Godwin, like an Odunze. I give the slight edge because Pickens could easily break out a 50-yard touchdown. So that's just that slight tiebreaker. That's all it is. Same thing with Higgins. Higgins, could have a big year, but he's not the 70+ yard touchdown type quite so much. Okay, so I'm just going to tell you, because I only got 2 players ahead of me here. I don't think I'm going to sway their draft decisions too much. I'm still waiting on running back at this point because I don't think there's a huge difference. And I can get any of those guys as my RB2. And we always say if there's a spot to be more iffy on, it's RB2. Plenty of good receivers I still like. I don't need to worry about tight ends. Definitely not going to take a third quarterback yet. So let's see. Roberto, again, getting the guy I would have taken first, Amari Cooper. And then I got to see who I have. So I got a Ram, I got a Steeler. I will say too, remember, this is not best ball. I don't have to worry about stacking or really think about it as a huge advantage. I can stack. I mean, that's nice. Nothing wrong with it, but I definitely don't need to make that a tiebreaker or any consideration. Jaden Reed is a strong option here. So I get 3 receivers, I think, that I'm okay with. All right, go running back. You already have 3 receivers. Roberto, I know you had the number 1 pick, but man, 2 dual threat quarterbacks, 3 really good receivers, and 2 stud running backs. That's a pretty good start. All right, I guess Chris here's going to go with probably either a receiver or maybe a tight end. The tight end's left. Got Kyle Pitts, got Evan Ingram. But yeah, these are some of the best players left. Probably a receiver. Now remember, this league only starts 2 receivers. There's 2 flexes, and it is a super flex league. It's full PPR, so yeah, you can flex a running back, but generally PPR, we recommend flexing a receiver, but of course it depends on who you get and who's on the board. All right, went T. Higgins. That probably would have been my pick. So let's just go top receiver I like on the board here is Christian Kirk. All right. Definitely going to have a minute before my next pick, so let me try to get to some more comments here. Just Quinn has Jordan Love. Yep, just like I just got him. Kind of want to trade Zay for Jaden Reed for the stack. All right, great question. It follows up exactly what I was talking about. I wouldn't do this because just in a vacuum, and again, you can look at our rankings. They're on Draft Lane, but you asked me who do I prefer, Zay Flowers, Jaden Reed? It's Zay Flowers. Am I going to basically trade down just for stack? No, because I don't think it's a huge difference, but I do definitely like Flowers better than Reed, because remember, Flowers I'm big on because he's clearly the number 1 receiver there in Baltimore. I know they have a top pass catching tight end in Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews hasn't exactly been, the pillar of health in the last few years, but also he's not exactly as dominant as he used to be. And then like Rashad Bateman, we don't know if he's going to be a thing. And then what, Nelson Aguilar? Zay Flowers should just be way more involved as a second-year receiver. So I'm big on Zay Flowers, target share, big play potential. Jaden Reed is competing with maybe an actual healthy Christian Watson. That pushes him down to the number 2 target on his team. And then there's Romeo Doubs, who technically was the number 1 receiver in Green Bay last year. People forget that. Most touchdowns, most yards, most red zone targets. So I'm not doing that. I might actually, no, I wouldn't even have to say maybe in best ball, but no, you should be taking Flowers 2 rounds before Jaden Reed. So I wouldn't do that unless you get something else in addition to Jaden Reed that would actually be helpful. What's up, Anthony? How's it going? Appreciate that. Anthony, I believe, is in our next one, the one tomorrow. Correct me if I'm wrong, Anthony. Keith, got another Superflex league. Look at the Discord. We do have a channel for startups and orphans. Look, sometimes it's hard to find a good Superflex league. So that's not Dynasty. Look, almost all my Dynasty leagues are Superflex. That's why I'm in a lot of these. But in redraft, not everybody runs this. So yeah, if you do want another Superflex league, go ahead and check the Discord. And if you don't have the Discord link, I can always throw it in there. In fact, let me do it right now because I got some time. Give me a second. In fact, I'll put the link to that exact channel if I can. Invites. Okay, here we go. In the chat, anybody who wants to not only check out that channel, but just be part of a great community, check out the Discord if you haven't already. There it is. All right, let's go a little bit back in there. Good evening, actually afternoon. Justin O'Grady, who finally got into a BBM. Shout out to you. Is this a fair trade? Ty Hill and Kamara for Ayuk and Achane. It's definitely fair. I mean, think about draft value. Hill, of course, top 5, first round pick. Achane and Ayuk are both about second, third rounders. Kamara more down like a 6th, 7th, depending on your league. So draft value, a stud receiver, RB2 type for high-end wide receiver to, I guess, low-end RB1. It's fair. Yeah, I mean, I don't know who I say I think will win this trade because I have no idea if Achane's going to be a league winner or a bust. I'm hoping a league winner and definitely worth taking a chance on. Ayuk, the risk is gone. He's there. He's fine. I'm not completely, like mostly, but not completely out on Kamara. I think I'd prefer the Ayuk Achane side because it's riskier, but I think more upside. So, but it's definitely fair. All right. Go back a little bit, see if I can catch up. It's almost my turn though, so hold on. Put a pause on these chats for a second. So, Keith, congratulations, you just sniped me. Not that I needed to stack, but if Christian Watson was there, I was going to take him. So, let's see. I don't have a second running back yet, but I also don't have. Thank you, both of you, for taking both the Packers receivers. It's awesome. Thank you, Miguel. Okay, so I could take a Bear. I could take Hollywood, who I still think is a great value. Jason, Sutton, Monty Brooks. Yeah, you guys are taking running backs earlier than I expected. I'm just going to go ahead and secure Monty here. Man, so close. I got one of those Packers. Now, Jaden Reed did fall quite a bit, possibly because I was just talking about how he's being a little overdrafted. But yeah, that would have been a nice value there. It's a little surprised. I mean, look, maybe you're right. Maybe I'm wrong on Keon Coleman and Vagoon. Getting Keon Coleman there in the middle of the 8th. We'll see how that turns out. All right, and then which, by the way, Chris Myko, who is right after and before me, he was debating T. Higgins whether Rashid or Worthy would make it back. Well, You got your answer there. Worthy and Rice both gone. Didn't think Rice would make it back. You definitely could have gotten Worthy. I mean, that was a shot worth taking, but yeah, I didn't get him either. I didn't necessarily look for that. I could have got Rice to stack with Mahomes, but I'm going to go a different direction, and you'll see in a second, assuming Roberto doesn't snipe me again, which you very well could. What is up? Fantasy football, it definitely can be pain. Gibbs or Saquon? You're talking about draft. I still got to go Gibbs. Got Gibbs a little bit higher. I'm big on Saquon. I don't have the worries everybody else does with Saquon. Oh, he's going to get vultured. He's not going to be as involved. Still think he's an RB1 for sure, but I think you got to go Gibbs first still. All right, there goes Javonte. So let's see if Chris Myco snipes me. All right. Very good. So I am going to get the stack, and not because I need to stack, but I still feel like this is a great value. Looks like Hollywood's missing one game, and that's it. And he should be, from what I read, pretty much back to 100%. No lingering concerns here. So I am more than happy to get Hollywood here. There it is. All right. Now, let's get back to some questions. What is up, Chase? A 14-man league. PPR, 3 flex, Tua, Connor, and Javonte. Evans, Ayuk, Rice, Deontay. Got Noah Fant. Is that your starting tight end? That's bold. I mean, we'll see. Hubbard, Bigsby, Watson, Pearsall, Palmer. Okay. So Connor, Javonte definitely looks like he waited. You definitely went 0 RB here with Hill, Evans, Ayuk, Rice, Deontay. Man, 3 flex. So you got those receivers and those flex. Yeah, your floor is basically near eye level. It's like you got the highest floor possible here. Connor and Javonte as your running backs in a 14-teamer, that's fine. Look, I'm not 100% sold on Javonte. I know he's going to be the starter. Some people convinced Jaleel McLaughlin's going to be the guy to own in Denver, which I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest. I wouldn't be surprised if Estime takes over at some point or is at least involved. So I can't say I'm totally sold on Javonte, but for your RB2 and a 14-teamer, it's fine. And you got Hubbard, who's going to be the guy at least the first half of the season. Now, obviously, your RB depth is razor thin because Bigsby's still a backup. You know, you're just a handcuff. You're waiting for an injury there, but you're going to play the waiver wire. You're not going to sweat it because you don't even need your running backs to do very much here. Honestly, you don't. And I wouldn't mind right now you go cut Pearsall because he's not going to be involved, especially with Ayuk there. Debo healthy, Kittle healthy. You know, Pearsall's the one that's injured. So I would cut Pearsall. I would add a running back who does have some receiving chops. Maybe a McLaughlin, maybe somebody like that who's going to be involved. It's a 14-teamer. So, I mean, who knows who's even available. You could add, you maybe could get like a Samaje Perine who now could have value. You know, just get somebody like that who you could throw in there. You know, if you have an injury, if there's a bye week, Pearsall doesn't need to be owned, not in a non-dynasty keeper league. So get yourself a running back who at least is going to be somewhat involved. And then Palmer, I don't know if that's, I don't know, hoping it's Josh Palmer. He's fine. You can hold him. I mean, you definitely won't. I won't even need him, but he's a good hold. Watson on the bench, yeah, man, this is smart drafting. Jonathan Rivera, good question here. Who do we start in Tank Dell or Ayuk? And this is a legit question because is Ayuk going to be full go after sitting out and holding in and holding out and whatever he's been doing? It might be smart just to roll out Tank Dell there in week 1. I mean, He's good to go. We know he's got upside. I don't mind taking the risk-free approach here because, I mean, just to be honest, there's no reason why you shouldn't want to start Tank. I haven't heard specifically. I don't know that Ayuk is going to be on any sort of snap count. I'm trying to see if I've heard anything recently. I don't think he will be. But that doesn't mean he might not come out the gate a little bit slow. And they get the Jets. That's the other thing. It's just based on matchup. It might be smarter anyways to go with Tank Dell so that you don't have to worry about Ayuk just getting shut down. Yeah, I'm going to start Tank here if I'm you. And FFIP drafting tonight, 9 at the 10 man. AJ Gibbs, that would be a great start. And then let's go Jerome Ford or Najee Harris. Well, I might have gone Najee if Warren was out, which we thought he would be. Looks like Warren's playing week 1. I don't want to fall for this. I'm going to go with Jerome Ford. Just me. He's going to get all the touches here. Go with the touches. Go Jerome Ford. All right. Going way back. Sorry. I'm going to try to get to some of these comments while I'm waiting my long turn here. What is up? Rise. Also an OG. Rise above anything. 12-team PPR. Got Kyler Murray, James Cook, Kyron Williams, Justin Jefferson, Rashee Rice, Devontae Smith, Brian Muth, Deontay Spears, Cooks, Hubbard, Curtis Samuel, Brooks. All players I like. Let's see. Cook and Kyron. Yeah. Yep. You nailed this one. There's not a pick here I would change, really. 12-team PPR. I like James Cook as an RB1. I still do. And now you got Kyron and Cook, and you got Justin Jefferson. Yeah. You killed it like usual. And by the way, once again, shout out to Brian. You're doing a pretty good job considering you're hanging out with Shamu there. Just got a third quarterback. This was not the first team to get a third quarterback. Chris Michael took Geno Smith. This is where I start entertaining a third quarterback because pretty soon the quarterbacks that are left aren't going to be ones you want on your roster. So you got Bryce Young. I need to take a look at this. It is almost my turn. All right, so there's Brian Thomas. Yeah, the receivers left. Nobody's standing out, and I already got 4. You know what? I got to take Jonathan Brooks here. I can't pass it up. I know I got to stash him for a while. That is fine for me. I can't wait. I didn't think he'd make it back to me, but he did. So I'll take him. Second half potential league winner. Okay, there's still some good running back value here. This is where it could go really any direction, and a lot of these teams are looking at running back. Looks like everybody's got a tight end except for team 2, Chris Michael. I think everybody else has a tight end. Oh wait, not Brian. Okay, so only 2 teams without a tight end, waiting on tight end to get totally fine. But again, my thought process here is nobody else is really going to be nailing that position. Look at where they're going. Quarterbacks are running out. People are probably trying to get depth at running back before it gets super thin. And then the receivers here, you're swinging for upside. Let's see what Roberto does. And of course, player on my queue. You already knew that. I don't even have my queue set because I know better. I'll live stream and show you guys who I want, but Roberto always knows. Okay, got 2 picks left. Take Will Levis. Okay. So I really don't think Chris is going to take a 4th quarterback here. There are a couple of high upside running backs I like here, but I think it might be more important because here's the thing: you just assume, and of course, you hope that your starting quarterback never gets hurt, but it does happen, and then you don't want to have to scrounge and get his backup, if that happens. I don't even know who these days who's Pat Mahomes' backup. Is it Chad Henne still? I honestly don't know. Thankfully, we don't have to worry about that. I'm just going to take the unexciting Derek Carr. Because look, once we get back, I'm not taking Daniel Jones. I'm not in on Bo Nix for fantasy, and then that's it. We're staring at the Sam Darnold, Jacoby Brissett types, the rookies who are very questionable. So there you go. All right, there it is. Harry Grossman. Sorry, Harry, making you wait on this one. 12 team, half PPR, 2 running back, 3 receiver, 1 flex, Caleb, JJ, Nico, Adams, Walker, Stevenson, Kincaid, Higgins, Chase Brown, Dowdle, Purdy, Samuel, Wicks. 12 team, half. I'm fine with Caleb as your starter. You are solid at receiver for sure. I'm big on Walker, so I like that 1-2 punch there at running back. I love Kincaid. Yeah, this is pretty good. Look, if you're going to go Caleb because you're big on Caleb, you don't need Purdy. It's not the end of the world. It's fine. But I'd say pick one or the other. Samuel Wicks. Wicks is borderline rosterable in a 12-team league. Samuel solid. Yeah, it's pretty good. I don't know if this has the highest tremendous upside. You're really good at receiver, so that's good. And this is what we preach, so that's good. Walker could have a huge season, so yeah, overall I think this is very good. A bit more like about an 8. This is interesting. Just caught this. Josh Sable. I know this was a while ago. I'm trying to get to some of these I missed. Draft pick trade offer. Team 1 gets picked 12. Team 2 gets picked 24 and 48. This is, I'm assuming, just a redraft league. Just regular redraft. This is really interesting. I would probably take the 2 picks. Get 2 top 50 players as opposed to 1. I think I would do that. Then you don't know all the details of your format. That's really interesting. You don't see a lot of draft pick trades in just your regular redraft league. All right. Yes, Eugenio asking, is this a QB heavy league? This is Superflex. And so by that, again, anybody who happens to not know, for Superflex, you don't have to, but you usually start 2 quarterbacks because the Superflex position means you can flex any position, quarterback, running back, receiver, or tight end. No, not kicker. This league, by the way, you'll notice, does not have kickers or team defense. We're still anti-kicker. That's right. Ban kickers. So you're almost always going to start a second quarterback because that second starting quarterback is going to put up more points than whoever your 4th receiver might be. So yes, QB heavy for sure. You want 2 solid quarterbacks and a third who at least is a starter or somewhat dependable that you can put in there. Because like I said, if Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen, if those guys go down, just picking up their backup, that's not going to cut it. You might not even want to start them. You might just want to put in a receiver or something like that. So, yeah, you want at least 3 good quarterbacks. In some leagues, in fact, there's one league, if y'all are familiar, called the Fishbowl, Scott Fishbowl Charity League. It's become huge. It's a huge tournament. I remember when I first joined it years ago, it was, it's a couple hundred people in it all across the industry, and now it's like thousands, and it's huge. That has a really weird, quirky scoring system, and quarterbacks get a lot of bonuses, and then you get points for completions and all this stuff. So quarterback heavy is an understatement. And so I went 3 quarterbacks early in the first few rounds because now I don't have to worry about it. I can pick up a tight end later, a 4th receiver, 5th receiver. You cannot just pick up a starting quarterback who actually is valuable. So yeah, I mean, really all it depends on the format. I don't love Derek Carr, but he's not my starter. If I have to start him in a pinch, he can get me points. He can get me some big games, right? I can't say that about, I don't know, Carson Wentz. Okay, Carson Wentz is still not playing, but you know what I mean. I just saw Keith's comment there. All right, let's scroll down a little bit. Getting to be my turn again. Y'all see the top of the board here. So we're going to scroll down a little bit. Let's see the end of the board. All right, Gabe wants to know which 3 to start between Garrett Wilson, Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs, and Zay Flowers. Well, that's a good problem to have. I'm definitely starting Garrett Wilson because he's a stud. I think he's healthy starting the season. You go Cooper Kupp. In fact, our Chris, he's got him as a boom for this week. If you see the booms that are coming out, you haven't seen them yet, that's because they're not out yet, but wide receiver, running back booms. Talk about some players we think could go off this week. That might help sway you when you see that. So I'm going to go Kupp and Garrett for sure. It's between Zay and Diggs. It's tempting to just say, hey, let's see how involved Diggs really is right away, with Nico and Tank there as well. Zay Flowers, I've been talking up because he's clearly the number 1 receiver there. The matchup for week 1 with Baltimore at KC. Yes, they're good, but they did lose L'Jarius Sneed on defense, and that definitely could be a high-scoring game. I'm going to go Zay, and that's also why I've been drafting Zay ahead of Diggs for sure. I think it's those 3. You can bench Diggs for this week. All right. Let's see what's up now. I got 2 running backs in the third who's going to be on PUP, and then I got 4 receivers, but this is a 2-flex league. Running backs are already sketchy. The wide receivers are risky. So I can go with a floor kind of play like a Cooks. I could go with a rookie like a Mitchell. Let's see. You know what? Yeah, I just might as well wait on running back here. All right, I'm going to take Cooks. Yeah, these receivers. Lockett is fine. Man, there's still a couple. It is getting thin. All right. But again, these receivers here in this list does not reflect my rankings. I would have Chudy lower, definitely have Mike Williams lower. Gabe Davis wouldn't barely be on it. And there's still a couple of names down here I think are draftable. Yeah, there's some guys here. You still have value. Okay, well, maybe that's it. But it's not the worst. Running back, man. I mean, I don't know why Kendrick Miller's still even ranked this high on these rankings. You gotta scroll down. And it doesn't get much better when you scroll down, but at least you can see some names here of interest. All right, so there's a dilemma here for me. Do I take the number 3 running back from the Dolphins with upside, but also risky path to touches, or the guy who's currently kind of hurt, but the RB2 in Green Bay, who I've been talking up all preseason? Oh man, there's still some running backs here. Like I think I need a running back. I love Marshawn Lloyd. I'm just gonna take Marshawn Lloyd. Okay. All right, getting toward the end here. Still a couple of rounds left. Yep. Yeah, I thought about Wicks. Not again, because I have love. Wicks was a good value there. I thought Wicks might fall to me, but clearly I was wrong again. That's okay. I took a Packers running back. Yeah. And that Packers receiving room will really be interesting to see how it shakes out. What's up, Carl? Carl, would you thought about doing weekly pick'em? You're talking about the like for those who do like the maybe like the Eliminator, the Survivor leagues, or just straight picks. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I wonder how many people do those picks. I know it's semi-popular, of course. We're fantasy focused. We don't really get into like the DFS and that kind of stuff too much, but yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. It would be pretty quick. I don't know. I'm just curious how many people do those. Anybody else here do those pick'ems like he's talking about, where just straight up pick your winners? Maybe you do every week. You could do just a competition, right? Who gets the picks right? Or you can do those Survivor leagues, which I know I've done several times. I don't think I did one. I don't think I did one last year, but I used to always do one. You know, you pick your team to win, and once that team loses, you're out if you make the wrong pick, or once you use a team, you can't use them anymore. Those are fun until you lose. But yeah, those are good leagues. We haven't really gotten too much into that just because we're so heavy into just straight up fantasy. So I would love to do it. You know, it's just a matter of is there enough people who want to see that. So you can always ask. You know, Carl, you're good on that. You always ask when we do the streams. You want to ask, hey, who you like straight up? You know, Miami, Jacksonville. I don't mind telling you. All right. Interesting. All right. So John now going a little back heavy on the quarterbacks. This is not a bad strategy. He just got 2 starting quarterbacks in round 13 and 14. Now nobody's jumping up and down to start Russell Wilson these days, but he's the starter. He's got George Pickens. He's going to put up numbers. He's okay to fill in at your quarterback position as your third quarterback. Probably not any worse than my Derek Carr. So if something happens to Baker or Goff, so look, this is a legit strategy. You go through volume at quarterback, maybe get lucky. Maybe Sam Darnold finally has a breakout season. But he's stacking early at running back, and we'll see how that works out. I'm curious, and I'll wait until it's my turn to show the queue left. I'm curious if there are any quarterbacks left other than the New England quarterbacks that are actual starting quarterbacks. Daniel Jones is off the board. Gardner Minshew's off the board. There goes Knicks and those guys. Does somebody actually draft Justin Fields? That's a legitimate question here. I don't know. Doesn't seem like he's worth drafting. I'll probably just fight to pick him up if for some reason he becomes a starter, but yeah. All right, Carl, sweetening the pot. Interesting. Okay. You're tempting me. Yeah, I would love to do it. Anthony, okay, you're in one of those. Yeah, look, maybe we can even start one for the. Let's see. I'll throw it. I'll talk to Chris after this. We'll throw it in the Discord, see if somebody wants to get one going. I'm sure we can get enough guys to do at least one for the Endgame community. We'll do a pool. Just need somebody to run it because just being commish of any league is hard enough, and got a couple of these. So, yeah, I wouldn't want to run it. If anybody here, hey, Carl, I mean, you guys, if you want to be in charge of it, let's do it. I'm in. Yeah, exactly. Survivor League. We do Survivor. We can do both. Let's do a Pick'em League and a Survivor League. All right, let's do it. I think we have enough guys right now already between the four of you, me, Chris. We're half full. Okay, let's do it. As far as the video, no promises, but we'll see. We can probably work something like that in. It wouldn't take too long. Yeah, it would be fun. Well, it's like what they do on the live streams. I'm not the live streams. That's all I'm thinking. YouTube, like on ESPN and NFL on CBS, right? They all make their picks and they show the records. Yeah, I'm all for that. We're all about transparency too. Okay, but it's gonna be my turn here. Got a couple picks left to make. So I got 4 running backs, 2 of which are hurt. I got 5 receivers are all pretty solid. Maybe could use some upside. Don't have a backup tight end, and I'm okay with that. And running back is beyond thin. I just take a swing at a rookie. Okay, receiver. I'm gonna buy the dip here on Josh Downs. He shouldn't miss too much time. Still think he has a ton of value. Quarterback, yeah, no starters left unless you count Jacoby Brissett. I don't think any of these guys are worth drafting. Okay, I take that back. I know none of these guys are worth drafting. Tight ends. Ooh, some decent talent at tight end. Ooh, there's actually a lot of good tight ends left. For tight end 2 types. So I think I know which way I'm gonna go. Yeah, all right, here's where we've gone too far. When you go start scrolling down, you start to see names that aren't in the NFL anymore. That's when it's too far. Well, I guess Dalvin Cook is back, technically. I have no idea who these. Duke Johnson. Here you go, Duke. Which, by the way, I'm going to check. I'm resisting switching over to check the game, the Canes game, because then I'll just totally lose focus here. But I'm assuming they're already up by 2 touchdowns. Oh, why? I know why, because you're a good drafter. Thank you, Roberto. Killing me again, taking the guy I was going to take. Okay. Well, now maybe I just go receiver. Kill me. I was going to take Bucky Irving. All right, moving along here, almost to the last round. By the way, anybody just now for some reason jumping on here, this is a super flex league, so you're wondering why so many quarterbacks are being taken. That is why, to mix it up a little bit, super flex, just a little twist on your traditional league. Typically go second quarterback. All right, this is where we start to take those lotto tickets. Keith, that's a nice pick. I was actually about to take Michael Wilson. I was between him and D-Rob. Hardly took D-Rob because, in best ball, you don't want to necessarily handcuff or put too many players from the same team. You don't want to limit your own upside exposure. D-Rob is, I think he has some standalone value, but he's one of the rare, what I consider a wide receiver handcuff. I got Puka early. If Puka goes down, Robinson is going to be not only the hottest pickup, but super valuable, just like it was the end of last year when Kupp went down. And of course, if Kupp goes down, I got 2 Rams receivers who are valuable. So I'm still all in on D-Rob for now. So that's how I'm looking at it. I do like Michael Wilson, though. So I got to start looking here. What am I going to do last? I'm probably going to have to take another running back. Because, yeah, I got Brooks on the on the puppet, and Lloyd is probably not ready week 1, maybe not week 2. I need a running back who can play, but there are some good tight ends for backup left, but I shouldn't need a tight end until McBride has a bye. So, backup tight end, backup running back. Running back's probably going to win. This is an endgame league because very few backup tight ends are being taken. Brian Taysom Hill, of course. Taysom Hill's got to get drafted. I don't know if he counts. I don't know what he is these days, running back / tight end / quarterback. Look at this kind of league. That's a smart pick. You can throw him in there instead of Schultz. And then Hawk, it's a smart stash. You can put him on your injured list and then just wait it out. There are still a lot of good tight ends. Honestly, I'm going to throw this up here and look. I'm big on Musgrave, and I got Jordan Love, but he's still going to be out there on waivers based on the way this draft is going. Cade Otton is startable. Sinnott could be a very valuable late season pick. Conklin, I think, is a high floor tight end. You could even start him week 1. Well, maybe not week 1 because they play the Niners. Jonnu Smith. So there's some good tight ends still out there. I'm just going to have to go running back. Just take one of the same guys I've been taking. All right. Let's see how this winds down. By the way, thank you, everyone, not just for getting on here drafting, making it out, everyone watching. We're going to do another draft tomorrow night. That's going to be plain old PPR, a little bit higher stakes in terms of buy-in, very competitive, of course. Got some different players as well. A couple of same, a couple different. So we'll see how that goes. So tomorrow night, after the baseball stream, we'll be doing that PPR league. So definitely check in for that. Videos will drop in every single day. Don't forget to start sit. You guys are asking start sit questions, as you should. The start sit videos are already starting to come out. So, of course, go back and check all those right after you draft. Aiden O'Connell off the board. All right, not a bad stash for a Superflex league. I wouldn't be surprised if he does take over as a starter at some point this season, to be honest. I think Pierce is trying to light a fire, like push him to show him, hey, you got to work up toward this. I think partly also they just kind of want to don't lose games early in the season, and they're going to take the risk-free approach with Minshew, which probably won't work, but whatever. Okay. I got one more pick. I'm going to go at running back. Probably going to draft a player I had very little of, but looks like he has value now. And that just cinches it because I was between Bigsby, who I've been drafting a lot of, I think Estime is interesting, but he's probably not going to have value till midseason at most. And I'm really not big on that Denver offense anyway. So they will take a chance on Samaje Perine getting third down work. Gives me a floor. Pacheco goes down. He all of a sudden becomes valuable. So there we go. I can't get him an underdog because everyone's drafting him higher than I would. I would like take him as a last round pick. People are taking him in now in like the 180s, so why not? And you know what? I can always drop him. Jordan Mason, a very smart pick there. And then last but never least, Roberto, wind this thing down. Thank you, Seth Swirsky, got the membership. Appreciate you very much. Brian, huge shout out. Sorry for the mix up in the times. I'll do better next time. But I'm glad you made it. You still knocked it out of the park. See what I did there. So thank you everyone for drafting. Thank you everyone for watching. Normally break these teams down with a mock and give the evaluations, but this is a real league, a real draft, and of course I'm in it. I'm not gonna judge your teams because we're gonna let it play out on the field, the virtual field. And so I'm just gonna show them one more time, and then just say may the best team win here. Mr. Irrelevant, Trey Sermon. I love that pick. Okay, so here we go. Just gonna talk about these teams in terms of who they got. So Roberto went double QB early, which of course, Superflex, that's definitely going to be a good strategy. Went Hurts and Daniels, a ton of upside, and managed to land Marvin Harrison Jr. and Devontae Smith. It's pretty good. Got Rashad White and Ramondre as his top two running backs with Javonte as the 3. Still really good. Got Amari Cooper, Ferguson at tight end. Jameson Williams, Will Levis, both of those were picks that you sniped me on. I was definitely going to take Levis, so I had to settle for Carr. Mooney is Chris's guy. Chandler, Polk, Irving, Sermon. Pretty much as good as you could get. Chris Myko, team 2, went Josh Allen, and then Garrett Wilson and Achane. Huge upside there at those 3 positions. Got Waddle and Trevor Lawrence. Not bad for a QB2. Mixon, Higgins, Geno Smith. So he was the first, I think, to take a third quarterback, which again, if you're really skeptical on the rest of those QBs there, which you rightfully could be, that's definitely a good move there. Pollard and Warren, Lockett, Williams, Goddard is the starting tight ends. Gibson, Judy, and Mason. All right, and then there's me. So I did what I normally do, and I try to get 2 quarterbacks in the first 3 rounds. Doesn't have to be the first 2 rounds, but I typically don't want to wait unless I'm at the end of the draft. Now, if I was team 10, 11, something like that, and I didn't have a for sure stud QB1, then that would be different. But when I get Mahomes, I don't need to go QB right away. And then given the drop-off I anticipated, if I hadn't taken my QB2 with Love, look, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 quarterbacks after that. My QB2 actually would have been okay. I might have been okay with like a Trevor Lawrence or a Stafford or Cousins, but I'll go for the higher upside with Love. And then I couldn't pass on McBride. Just think he's going to have a huge season. Kenneth Walker also, of course, you know my guys, Pickens, Kirk. Monty's my RB2 I'm okay with here because I was set at quarterback and tight end. And then the rest of the squad, you already know because I talked about them. Miguel at the 4. Lamar and Caleb 1 and 2. And then you got JT, DJ Moore, Andrews, Terry McLaurin, James Conner, Jaden Reed, B-Rob, Brian Thomas, Curtis Samuel, Charbonnet, Mitchell, Algier, Douglas, and Bigsby. All right, so kind of an anchor RB build here. Went to receivers, went to tight end pretty early, but definitely no holes. And then Keith went CMC, the first to take a non-quarterback, but he got Dak on the way back. London Pittman got Stafford as QB2. He's solid. 3, 4 really good receivers. Got Kittle at tight end. And then definitely the anchor game, which is smart when you get CMC. So Ford, Moss, Gus. Very nice. Let's see. Vagoon took Stroud, and then went more running back heavy with Saquon, Jacobs, Najee, and Zamir White. Mike Evans is the only receiver there in the first half of the draft, with Keon Coleman as the 2, Dobbs, and then Shakir. I mean, it's a little risky in terms of receiver. We'll see if those young receivers come through. Now, this is a real league, so you can always make some trades. Well, it looks like you're wanting to flex some running backs, so we'll see how that goes. Vagoon also waiting for quarterback. DC went CeeDee Lamb, Kyler Murray, Brock Purdy, Pacheco, Kincaid, Diggs, Rice, Godwin, Singletary, JSN, Dobbs, Elliott, Wicks. Did take Justin Fields. Someone did take Justin Fields. Tracy and Likely. All right, 2 solid quarterbacks there. Got the number 1 receiver in Lamb. Got one of the best tight ends. And you're still really solid at receiver. So I like this build. Juju, unfortunately, did not show up, but look, got some good players. Definitely waited on quarterback, so good luck with Daniel Jones, but we'll see how that plays out. The Card Bay. I see Cardi B. Ty Hill, AR to nice stack there. Nico, Cook, Kamara, Swift, Ingram, Matunze, McConkey, Quorum, Leggett, Franklin, May, Burden. A lot of rookies here. So let's see. A lot of upside, some risk, but look, the first half of your draft is actually really solid. You don't have really a lot of risk in your starting lineup, except that you might be flexing 2 rookie receivers. Almost surely, because all your receivers after Nico were rookie receivers. So it's young, but you got upside. Brian, side by side with Shamu. He went with Breece Hall, AJ Brown, Herbert, Olave, Cousins, Tank, Deontay, Mostert, Brown, Bryce Young, Jacoby Myers, Nick Chubb, Schultz, Taysom Hill, Herbert, and Tolbert. All right, so you went anchor RB with Hall, but you still want to with most Brown at running back. That's pretty solid. 4 really good receivers, 2 solid quarterbacks, weighted on tight ends. Yeah, I mean, for drafting out of 10, you pulled it off pretty well. You're drafting on mobile. Mackin at 11 with Chase Burrow stack, Kyron Etienne to get those 2 RBs. And then Aaron Rodgers as the QB2. All right, floor play there. Debo, Pitts, Ridley, got some upside. And then went Knicks at quarterback late. Sinna at tight end. So I like this is a nice mix of floor and ceiling. And then John at the 12 went Sun God, Bijan, Goff, Henry, Cup, Metcalf, Baker, Worthy, Njoku, Sutton, Dowdle, Hawk, Russ, Darnold, Ray Davis, and Adam Thielen. So again, talked about this strategy, weighted on quarterback, probably more than most teams, but got some really top-heavy talent at running back and receiver. Still got a good tight end. So, look, if Baker picks up the type of season he did last year, maybe better, I mean, you're good. You're pretty good here. So, well done, everybody. That's all I'm going to say. Well done. Again, check out the draft tomorrow night. And, of course, check out Draft Lane. It helps you draft as you're doing it live. So it's going to be worth it. And if you don't even need the draft pilot, you just want to check out our rankings. They are up on Draft Lane, just updated. And of course, you can do all sorts of other things on there. The app is totally free. So go ahead and download it now. All right, guys. Appreciate you. We'll see you next time.